So although we increase when adoptions happen or children return to their homes, that causes us to close homes. So we always have a continual need to recruit foster homes.
That's kind of been the story over the years. What is the gap? The need versus the supply, so to speak.
We would like to have a home for every Creek child in custody. And if that's around 300, then we need about 250 more homes. So that's the goal, is to have every child either placed with relative first or a Mvskoke Creek family.
Now, that's the catch. That's the devil in the details, that are not enough Mvskoke families coming forward, right?
Yes. And additionally, we do certify families who are members of other federally recognized tribes. So family first, Mvskoke Creek next, and then another native family would work.
Do you coordinate with any other tribes by any chance?
We do. We spend a lot of time in coordination with just about every tribe, especially the 5 civilized tribes in the state, because we're all working towards the same goal, and that's to provide homes for Native American children.
Okay, now let me ask your compatriots here, what is your role in the program? Let's start with Cynthia.
Hi, this is Cynthia Smith, and I'm the recruiter trainer, so my role is to go out to different events, community meetings, or anything that happens with Mvskoke Creek citizens or tribal events and recruit and give out our information as far as who to contact, what the guidelines are, the application process, just inform people of what they need to do and stick that thought in their head so they could be thinking about that, because I think it's been said that it takes at least 2.5 to 3 years from the time a person starts thinking about becoming a foster parent for them to actually do it. And so because that is a big step, and we want them to know that our group is behind them, and we're going to stand by them and walk them through every step of the process that we have.
What is the reaction from families who are potential foster homes? What kind of questions do they ask? It's got to be a huge step in preparing to accept someone you really don't know, and as a child, and how do we care for them? How do we get set up to have them become part of our home for whatever period? What do they want to know?
They want to know what age groups with different behaviors. Are there siblings involved? How big a group of siblings there are? What do I have to do? Do I have to pay for everything? We have foster care reimbursements that go for each child. So I just basically inform them at these events. And I always have applications on hand, in case they want to take one. And try to give them just a quick overall summary of what they can expect. I also do the training aspect of our foster parent program. And I do a curriculum called Circle of Keepers. And the Circle of Keepers, it's a native-based curriculum, and we can adapt it to our Mvskoke Creek culture. And I do that once a month, and then I also go to the homes. I'm really accommodating on when they need to meet, if we need to come to the home, if they can't make it to my training that once a month. So I'm really accommodating for that as well.
Okay, and Michelle, what is your role in the process?
My name is Michelle Bender, and I'm a certification and placement caseworker. And so what I do is accept the applications, contact the applicants, and start making appointments so that we can start providing services, getting their backgrounds done, going out and doing their home assessment, get them to, training. And then once they're completely certified, or once I've gotten my part done, I send it over to Robin. Robin proofs and makes sure and gives the final approval on a home. And then once we have homes certified, when we have needs come in, we will receive either emails or phone calls from workers, and most usually placement comes through Robin and I, and so we try to find placement, with one of our homes. We typically go out and learn the demeanor of our families, and so that way we place appropriate children with appropriate families. If you have a family that is more laid back and into basketball, football, baseball, you'd put a child with that type of family. And whereas if you have a family that is very structured, then you would place the appropriate child there, so that you want a placement to work. You want the child to remain in the placement, and so therefore we do our best to match as best as we can the family to the child.
So that's the screening process then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, in conducting this screening, what kinds of families are you looking for? What characteristics would stand out and make them a good placement, do you think?
I would have to say that we're looking for the families that are loving and nurturing, and they want to be there for the child, but also have the understanding that this is a temporary placement. And so while the child is here, I'm going to do all that I can to make sure that this child grows culturally, spiritually, maintains those connections with natural family, and then also provides just the daily needs that a child, all children need. All of our applicants must be over the age of 21. They must have must have good health. They must be able to pass their backgrounds, and they must live within the state of Oklahoma. And so you do not have to live within jurisdictional boundaries. You can live across the state. We'll come to you. Even if you want us to bring you an application, we do that quite often. So we do the best that we can to accommodate families.
Anything to add to that, Robin?
I think she pretty much said everything, but one thing I want everyone to remember is that these children are the future of our nation, and maybe people have heard me say this before, but it's the truth. They need a good, solid base so that in 20 years we have solid, upstanding Mvskoke Creek citizens to carry this nation forward.
What kinds of things are red flags where there might be a couple who are applying to take on foster care responsibilities, but you see something there that doesn't look right, or maybe what we'll call it a gut feeling perhaps, or one of your staff people, when they go out to do an assessment, comes back with a report that isn't so good. So what kinds of red flags, I think, is maybe the term?
Well, I think our main, we have federal foster care standards that we have to follow. Those are basic standards. And then additionally, the tribe has even higher standards than maybe the state of Oklahoma or even the feds. So the first thing we have to look out for is background checks. Now, sometimes people will call me and say, I had a public intox when I was 18, 30 years ago, and that's not something that's going to automatically knock you out. We have to follow federal law. It's called the Adam Walsh Act, and it's basically felonies that have to do with, a lot of felonies, but violence against children or women or drug trafficking and things like that. Some people are concerned about whether they have a big enough home, and we don't have the same standards as DHS because as we all know, culturally, we're used to, having a multi-generation household. So as long as I can place a child safely in that home, they don't necessarily have to have their own bedroom if they're a small child, things like that. A red flag may be, we always want our families to be open and forthcoming. So, my staff here we have a lot of years in child welfare, and we're pretty good at picking up on things that are if you're not forthcoming or being dishonest. And usually that occurs with background checks, or they're trying to hide an uncle who lives here that may be a sex offender or something. So we're pretty good at picking out things like that.
So if one of your people goes in and sees the home isn't being kept up, housekeeping, hygiene, that sort of thing isn't up to par, I don't know, they check the refrigerator, if they open it up and see no food but a lot of beer, then that might be something.
Right. And my rule of thumb is I'm actually, I've fostered as well. And if I wouldn't leave my child there, then, I'm not going to leave one of my other children there. So that's basically what we look for, safety hazards and health hazards, and, whether, there might be some small things like they need plugs for the outlets, or locks for the doors that we can provide them with, and fire extinguishers or things like that. But I want our children to be healthy and safe while they're going through the transition, either back to mommy and daddy or onto a permanent home.
I understand that there is a financial compensation for, the household needs, food, clothing, whatever else. How much is that, and does it depend on age of the child, the size of the family? What figures in there?
It does depend on age of the child. Now, the Mvskoke Creek Nation has a government-to-government agreement with the state of Oklahoma. So the state of Oklahoma actually pays our foster care payments. So they set the rate, but it's around $500, maybe a little more, a little less, and it goes up the older the child is. And I can't remember exactly what the rate is right now, but it's around there. Now, if we have children who are in tribal custody as opposed to children who are in state custody, we are able to help more with those children who are in tribal custody. Like if we get an infant in the middle of the night and our foster parent doesn't have a crib, we can provide a crib, or maybe dresser, or maybe groceries until the foster care payment comes in. So that's what we're allowed to do with the grant that we have.
You mentioned middle of the night kind of thing. Can you respond to a situation like that? Do you have people on call?
Yes, we have our CPS unit is on call, and Michelle and I are always on call for placement. It's usually Michelle is the one who answers first. So she likes to do placement.
Okay. Well, what typically might you hear in the middle of the night like that? You get a call, and what do they tell you or say, or what do you need to know?
The middle of the night phone calls come from Mvskoke Creek Nation CFSA workers. And so what they'll usually say is, I have this child, this is the situation that we're picking up from, and I need placement right away. Do you have anything available? Whether it be, and this has truly happened, whether it be at 1:30 in the morning or, whenever we pick up the phone, I immediately start looking through our address book to figure out which family would be most appropriate. We have, out of the 15 foster homes that we have, currently we have 3 that would do emergency placement. And so I would go down my list of the 3 families, and whoever answers first and can accept is who we go with. And so once that happens, turn right around, call the worker, and provide the contact information so the child can be placed.
Well,
If no placement occurs, then we come to the office and take shifts setting with the child.
Gosh, 15, first of all, sounds like a pretty piddling number compared to what the need is, and out of that, only 3 can take the quick emergency kinds of things. How often do you have to come in and set up with a child?
I've been here for almost 5 years, and I think we've had to do it once.
That's cool.
So,
Fortunately, we've always managed to find a place for these children. It might be at the very last minute, but we've been very fortunate that somebody, the Lord or whoever, has allowed us to find placement for these kids, so we don't have to come to the office, because it's already stressful enough for those babies as it is, and to have to stay in some office overnight is not fun for them. So.
No. Most of us staying in the office for the day is much fun.
That's true.
But it's nice to hear that you rely on the higher power there to kind of help.
Well, we have to.
Mm-hmm. Now, if our local city police will help us out there and go the other direction. Now, Cynthia, you handle the recruitment into this whole program, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and make an adjustment there. We have the cop shop right next door to the radio station. So it gets a bit loud sometimes. Now, when you look for potential families, where do you go? What kinds of things do you do? Like there are different events around the community. I presume you would set up a table there and this kind. But what goes into finding these?
What I call our chartered communities that we have up with the Mvskoke Creek Nation, and I go to their community meetings. I also go to the clinics, and I will set up a table, an information table for them. And yesterday I was at El Reno at the Indian Health Clinic there, and had some good success there from some different people, actually some Creek people over in that area, and so I was able to give out a couple of applications there, so hopefully, those will come through. I've been to Three Rivers over in Mvskoke. I am trying to get into Indian Health Resource Center in Tulsa. They are doing a lot of renovations up there, so they wanted to wait until that was finished. I have gone to different events, such as the Child Abuse Prevention event held down in Holdenville. I believe that was about 3 weekends ago. I'm also going to do the Okmulgee Foster Walkabout on the 12th, which is Saturday, and Hope Ministries is going to host that, and that's here in Okmulgee. We have different events through us and through the tribe that we're going to do a fun run. We're going to do National Council Day, where our foster parents are going to be recognized at the National Council meeting on the 19th. I look for different events from different tribes. There's going to be a Sac and Fox resource fair, and that will be July 12th. We will be, obviously we're going to be out at the Creek Nation Festival held. I mean, we are always out there in full force. Our department is. And I just look for different things that come up that would enhance our program a lot more and gather more foster parents as we need.
So if you're going out to Lawton or something like that, would it help to know Kiowa or Comanche?
It would, because like they said earlier, we can certify anywhere in the state of Oklahoma. We can certify any tribe that is federally recognized in the state of Oklahoma. Anybody above the age of 18. If you are interested in looking, give me a call. We are online. We are on Facebook. Look at our website, the Creek Nation website, under Children and Family, and any one of us three will be happy to answer your questions if I'm not there, and we will get you started on that application.
Right. Now, that question might sound a bit facetious, but I've seen where when you connect with people from other tribes, it really establishes a strong bond when you can speak perhaps a greeting in their own language or something like that. So
yes.
Has that been the case for you?
It actually has. Because you're more on their level. We're all Native people, and we were brought up pretty much the same way. Our child rearing was almost the same way. We have to definitely the same values and respecting our elders and nurturing our children, and we always say it takes a tribe to raise a child, and basically it does. I come from a traditional background where we were at storm dances, every weekend and everything, and it just happens that everybody took care of everybody's kid, and even though they were all cousins and everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably related to most.
Exactly. And so, it's been a pleasure to do my foster parent training with people, and because some of these foster parents don't know about their own culture, don't know about the Creek culture. And so, if I can bring a little bit to them and say, hey, we did this as a a tribe and we're doing this, then great. I'm just educating them more on their culture.
As the fight goes on over the years, have you all seen progress? Are there numbers perhaps that indicate some nice things that you're meeting the needs, or perhaps some feedback? And what do you hear from the kids, by the way? So first of all, feedback. Are we making progress?
I believe we are making progress. When I took this position over, I didn't even have a list of foster homes. I think I had maybe one or two. So now we're up to over 30 adoptive and foster homes. So
yeah, just lean to your right.
Okay. We've definitely made progress, but with that being said, we also have an epidemic right now that everyone else is fighting with the opioids and the drug abuse. So we have a lot of kids that are in custody, due to neglect. So it's like taking, one step forward and two steps back. But I know everybody in this room feels like that these kids are worth fighting for, so we'll just keep on working.
Mm-hmm. And from you
From the
two,
child-
what do you? Yeah, go ahead.
From the child's perspective, we do listen to what they're saying. When we go out, it is not this group that oversees the children, but we do go out once a month and we visit with our families, and the children are there. And so if the child does express any concerns or any comments that would concern us, we bring them back to the appropriate CPS or child's worker, so that they can take care of those concerns that we could possibly have. Our job is basically to watch over the families, to make sure that they have the things that they need to function on a daily basis, make sure that if they need assistance to get to the doctors or to any appointments for the child, or any medical issues, childcare issues, things of those natures, that's what we do to try to make the fostering process simpler for them and more pleasurable for them as well, because it is very stressful. You have a child that doesn't know you and you don't know them. You're trying to familiarize with them, and to have to work through the systems of healthcare and childcare and just behavioral health and so forth. It can be overwhelming to somebody who's new to it. So that's what we're kind of there to help them go through the processes.
Are there any comments you've heard from the kids that stick in your mind either?
Yeah, we've had some that, the home that I was in, was wonderful and, changed my life.
And I've heard people say before that they couldn't foster because they wouldn't want to give the children back. And I've been in that position my own self and am working through that myself. But what we have to remember is this may be the only stable, loving, nurturing home this child has seen so far. And it's not about me or it's not about you, it's about the child. So the best that we can do for those kids is to give them a place where they're loved and they're safe so that they can grow.
Okay, Cynthia, what do you hear?
What I see from the foster parents, because that's who I mainly work with, is the foster parents. I don't see the kids usually. Is that a concern for these kids, and then very happy when they finally get a child in their home, placed in their home, and then everything is going well. There's always a honeymoon period with these kids, and then their real personality comes out, and then they work through those things. And that's what family does, is, as a family, you always work through things and then get it to where you need to be. And so it just takes time. It takes time, it takes love, it takes the child getting to know you and their surroundings, and it takes them knowing that they're...
It offers up that training aspect as well, because, if they don't know or understand the behaviors of the child, then that's where training comes in as well to help back them up.
Right, definitely.
All right, we're going to have to wrap this up, but Robin, if someone wanted more information or perhaps wanted to apply as a foster family, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, you can contact either myself, Michelle, or Cynthia at 918-732-7869, or you can always walk into our office at the complex, at the Children and Family Services building. We also have a Facebook page, and we're online as well.
All right, well, I want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing this information. Michelle Bender, Robin Wynn, and Cynthia Smith doing wonderful work. I mean, gosh, I don't know how you have the hearts for it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes,
Hello.
thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for putting up with our wackiness today. Okay, we have a couple of PSAs coming up here. Let's take a break and share those, and then we'll be back with our second portion here on Mvskoke Radio.
Get ready to make memories. 4 days of free family fun comes to Okmulgee at the 44th Annual Mvskoke Creek Nation Festival, June 21st through 24th, featuring the Kids Carnival, traditional Mvskoke dances, arts and crafts, and food, softball, golf, horseshoes, and volleyball tournaments, and the All-Indian Rodeo that started it all. Live entertainment hits the stage on Friday and Saturday nights. All events are free and open to the public. It's the Mvskoke Creek Nation Festival, June 21st through the 24th in Okmulgee.
Red Stick Gallery in Okmulgee, Oklahoma features items handmade or designed by Mvskoke Creek enrolled citizens from all over. Owned by the Mvskoke Creek Nation, the gallery proudly sells ribbon skirts and vests, Southeastern designed clothing, jewelry, prints, and many other items. For more information, visit www.creeknationgiftshop.com. Red Stick Gallery, located 105 South Grand Avenue in historic downtown Okmulgee.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio here on 1240 AM, The Brew. We want to welcome our crew here for National Prevention Week. Now, that's a huge title, and I presume it covers a lot of different topics, so let's have our guests introduce themselves first, and then we'll get on with it. So we'll start down there at the end of the table.
I'm Margaret Black, and I work with the Regional Prevention Coordinator.
I'm Aaron Graffman. I work for Oklahoma State University Prevention Program.
Okay, let's do that again.
I'm Margaret Black, and I work with the Regional Prevention Coordinator.
Aaron Graffman with Oklahoma State University Prevention Programs.
Kyle Norman, also with OSU Prevention Programs.
My name is Rush Williams, and I work with Creek Nation Behavior Health.
Okay, it's like juggling cats here for me for some silly reason this morning. So I hope you all will bear with us as we try and get through our Make It Up As We Go program. Now, you all are here to talk about National Prevention Week. Now, that's a huge title. We've got a lot of different topics and issues kind of happening all at once in this springtime. Every year it comes up, we have National Month. What what's your mission here? Are you trying to tie them all together? How does this work? Somebody want to jump that?
Well, first off, let's look at National Prevention Week. It is a SAMHSA-sponsored annual health observation to help increase the prevention of substance use and promotion of mental health. It brings individuals, organizations, coalitions, states, and communities together through local events to raise awareness about the importance of preventing substance use and mental health disorders.
Okay. Now, what are some of the events perhaps that you've got planned, or what's your emphasis or your mission?
Well, the reason that SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, is they do it during this month because it's a time when schools are getting out of school and graduating colleges as well, and it's a time to refocus on prevention because they have statistics that say that oftentimes youth first try a substance during the summer months. So there's different focuses during the week, and it's mental health and wellness, prevention of underage drinking and alcohol misuse, prevention of prescription drugs and opioid drug misuse, prevention of illicit drug use and youth marijuana, prevention of suicide, and prevention of youth tobacco use.
Now, why would that be happening? Is it because they have so much free time to kill? Let's go out to the lake and party, this kind of thing? What's going on there?
Correct. It's during the summer months when a lot of lake drinking happens at the lake, house parties because they don't have structured activities like they do during school, sporting events, school events during the evenings. Those kinds of things are absent a lot during the summer, and just the warmer weather gets them outside and together. So.
Okay, let's hear from some of the other folks here. Kyle, what do you see? What are you working on during Prevention Month?
On the 16th, we're going to have a drug take back out at the YMCA. We've partnered with the Y, and we're going to be out there from 9 to 4:30 p.m. with OBN agents, and Creek Nation Light Horsemen will be out there with us. On the 18th, we're going to be a responsible beverage service training at noon at the Mayberry Bank here in town. So that's for anybody that serves alcohol, such as convenience stores or restaurants or bars. And the training consists of, we teach you what a fake ID looks like, how to read a real ID, and if there's any question, the questions to ask the patron trying to buy the alcohol. And that's what we have going on. Rush, I think, has a few other events this week.
Yes, we have a few different things. For Mvskoke County, we are doing a showing of the Paper Tigers documentary at the Crystal Theater in Okemah. And that documentary is to simply just try to understand more of toxic stress, and then also a more careful approach to how we approach those young individuals who are going through things. And then we're also doing a showing at the Roxy Theater in Mvskoke, and those are both on Tuesday, May 15th, around 6 o'clock. And then on Wednesday, we'll also be doing a QPR training at St. John's in Sapulpa. And QPR is a suicide prevention training. And then on Thursday, we have the Okmulgee County Resource Luncheon at the First Baptist Church in Okmulgee. And that is Thursday, May 17th from 11 to 1. And then we also have a LGBTQI Two-Spirit Native American Cultural and Resource event and Indian Taco Cell from the Dennis R. Neal Equality Center in Tulsa. And that is from 11 to 2 also on Thursday. So these events are just a good event to come out and to try to understand some of the resources that are available to the community, and then also try to partner up with different communities. And then May 18th, we also have some suicide prevention trainings going on. On Friday, we have a training here at the Okmulgee County YMCA at 12 o'clock. And then we also have a training in Wagner and Eufaula. Okay. And then on Saturday, last event hopefully, on Saturday on May 19th, we will be hosting a free 5K and 1 mile fun run out at the Mvskoke Dome. Okay,
so you've got quite an agenda there. Okay, Aaron, let me ask you now, what part do you play in the prevention?
I help with the prevention take-backs of the prescription drugs, and also teach the responsible beverage service and sales trainings. So we try and teach all of our retailers. We also teach, like for the festivals, like the Pecan Festival, we're going to be training those volunteers on the proper way to check IDs, so that we don't have any underage sales or over service. We partnered with Mvskoke Creek Nation Light Horse. They're going to come out to the Y for our drug take back on May 16th. We want safe use, safe disposal, and safe storage of your prescription meds. We don't want access for anyone to have access to their old prescription drugs, expired prescription drugs. They can bring them to the Y and drop them off at no charge. You don't have to take the labels off. You don't have to pour them into a bag. Just bring them out there and dispose of them. And like Kyle said, the OBN will come and dispose of it properly, and that way it takes the access point for anyone to get a hold of prescription medication.
Let's go ahead.
Just to add on that, we know that the pills are in Okmulgee County. Just because some data that we have there was 1,900,000 pills prescribed, actual pills prescribed to people that claimed Okmulgee addresses from October 16 to March 17. So that's actually just 70 prescriptions, less than 26,000 prescriptions filled in Okmulgee County for opiate pills.
Must be one reason why so many tribes and governments are suing Big Pharma for the addiction. Now, you mentioned a topic there I want to revisit, and stuff that I seen and went through in college. You mentioned fake IDs. We all have probably seen those in our time, and guilty as charged, although I never owned one. I was too chicken. But at that time, young men could not purchase beer, but girls 18 could. So what you did was you had a girlfriend go in the store and pick up, 12-pack or whatever, and then you all went out to the river and sat around. Now, is that kind of a gateway that you've encountered for most of the problem, and how it gets started? Is that one problem that you need to deal with?
Definitely. Oftentimes when youth try another substance, marijuana, other illicit drugs, they are under the influence of alcohol. So it's a major problem to keep them from drinking the first time. We really want to limit their access. And that's one of the reasons that we teach vendors how to responsibly sell. And that's something we actually go over, is that sometimes youth will use things such as fake IDs, flirting, trying to make themselves look older, those kinds of things, to obtain alcohol, and that's something that we train about.
And we do what's called alcohol compliance checks, where we actually work with ABLE agents, which is the Alcoholic Beverage Laws Enforcement Officers, and local and county police officers. And we actually, by state statute, we can send in an underage youth with an undercover law enforcement officer, and they attempt to purchase the alcohol, like you said. We teach them to not flirt. Well, everything Margaret just said, we teach them to be honest, straightforward. If they ask for their ID, they present their proper ID. If they ask how old they are, they say how old they are. We do an age perception and try and keep, the youth under 19 years old, so it doesn't look like we're sending in a person that looks over 21. We want them to obviously look under 21 and make sure that they comply with the law.
Oh, let me ask you, it's been over 30 years since I've bought any alcohol. I don't partake. But is the age limits, have they changed? It used to be 18 for girls and 21 for guys. Is that still the same?
No, it's 21 for everyone.
That's good. That's good. So go ahead.
And one of the great things about here in Okmulgee is the city actually has an ordinance where any festival or anybody that's going to sell alcohol or beer on city property has to be trained. And we're one of the very few, if not only, cities that has that ordinance in the state. So.
Well, one of the experiences that I had when I was attending college was a carload of guys would have a girl and she'd go in and make the purchase. Do you train the clerks to kind of take a look out in the parking lot and see if this is what's going on? And
we actually have there's a program called shoulder taps, where you'll have the underage youth outside trying, like someone that's older going in, you'll ask them to buy the alcohol. I know when I was a kid, that's how they did it.
Well, that's how it happened. Okay.
So we do train them to look and be aware of their surroundings. If they do see a group of kids hanging outside, be aware of that it could possibly be selling to them and then them giving it to the minors.
Do you recall what the penalties are for that thing? Anybody?
For the selling to a minor, right now as the law stands in Oklahoma, if you sell liquor, which is at a liquor store or stuff like that, is a felony. Low Point beer is a misdemeanor, and it's usually a $500 fine.
Ouch.
But the laws around alcohol are changing October 1st, so Low Point beer will go away, and it'll all be strong beer and wine. You can get refrigerated beer at the liquor stores, the grocery stores. You can get wine at the grocery stores. So that's just another access point for youth to be able to get it.
Yeah, I mean, there's arguments on both sides of that question, but all in all, somebody who shouldn't is going to be getting a hold of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's not dwell on that point too much. But it was a sitting duck, and I couldn't pass it up. Now you guys have you listed all kinds of different things that you're going to be dealing with. And why don't we talk about some of the other topics that you got there? Somebody want to jump in here? Let's see, the drug take back. We had some folks in here the other day talking about that. So this is one outlet for kids to get a hold of some of the opioids and stuff that.
Right. We've seen, even as bad as it sounds, real estate people. They'll be taking people in to look at houses and stuff, and they'll go in a tandem team, and somebody, while they're showing them the house, they'll go and rifle through the medicine cabinet. And another really bad one is people will look at the obituaries and know that someone passed away of cancer stuff, and they will break into their house during the funeral. We do the drug take backs to get that stuff off the street. We had recently, last year, had a drug take back at OSUIT, and we got 76 pounds of medications. We had one about 3 months ago, and we had 30 pounds. And then recently, this last weekend was the National Drug Take Back Day for the DEA, and Beggs had 35 pounds of prescriptions, medication brought back and disposed of.
The orange bottles are piled up pretty big. Huh? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Now, Rush, you had some other activities there that we were going to be looking at?
Yes, we have we can look at our MC and Health and Wellness Run. We are partnering with a few different agencies, the Tobacco Prevention Program at Creek Nation, and then also the Transportation, and then also the Omauga County TSET Healthy Living Program. They've been a very big help. And then we're also, Creek Nation Tourism and Recreation is helping us on that. So we were talking a little bit about earlier of why these things happen in the summer. A lot of it can come down to their consistent home routine has kind of been affected due to not having to go to school every day and having that free time, and then also not good recreational events or activities. So, no longer in sports, and maybe they just graduated high school. And then you can just look at good community involvement. Community involvement is one of the main protective factors whenever it's coming to try to protect a youth.
While I've got you on the spot, so to speak, you are considerably younger than I am. So what's been your experience in working with these kinds of programs? Have you had some feedback from kids who've come in and taken parts of these things, or hopefully changed their lives and their lifestyle?
Well, first of all, I usually get the question, how old are you?
You get ID'd a lot, then, huh?
Yeah. And then after that, whenever we try to plan events, we try to engage as many youth as we can, because I work for the Native Connections grant, and it's a grant focused on the 10 to 24-year-olds. And one of our goals is to try to incorporate not only life skills and youth wellness type life skills, but it's also just knowledge and trying to make them aware of different opportunities that they have within not only the Mvskoke Creek Nation, but all of the other partners as well.
So have you had a chance to talk to some of the young people who've come through the program or taken part?
Somewhat, and I think that most of them enjoy it. And I teach life skills at different alternative schools, and we also have some other on staff that teach life skills at alternative schools. And it seems like they're really appreciative of consistency mainly, and then also just having that opportunity to be able to do that. So even last weekend, we helped with the Creekchella event over at the Mvskoke Dome, and we hosted a kickball tournament as well. And I remember I did talk to one of the youth and say, I haven't played kickball since I was in elementary school. Mm-hmm. So, being able to do that and show them that they can get a kickball and just go kick it around and have some fun, trying to have them, come up with new and creative ideas of fun things to do instead of getting in trouble.
Although kickball does have its drawbacks occasionally.
I can't walk the next day.
Yeah, or you get some big, huge guy to just blast that thing, and somehow it finds its way to your face.
That's also true.
You got a concave face after that. Let me ask you other folks here, have you had the feedback from them, heard from kids or families who've taken part in some of these positive activities?
We work, the groups that we work with youth are called SAD groups, which is Students Against Destructive Decisions. And we teach them to advocate for problems that they see in their communities. And by the time the school year's ended, they usually feel more empowered to be able to go out and talk to other people. We sometimes talk to superintendents or city council members about the issues that they're seeing on a local level. And you'd be surprised just going in and talking to them, the issues that they're seeing, we can usually back up by the data that we collect. They're pretty on top of what's going on in their communities. So,
Aaron, any feedback?
Kyle was going to say something.
Yeah,
Well,
Kyle.
just what Margaret says, the youth see the trend before we see the trend. We have to wait on the data to come in. And working with them, we can kind of see it as it's happening, and we can start collecting that data a little bit earlier. So it's a positive thing just to be in the schools and around the kids.
Well, beyond the data, though, let's talk about the human element. I mean, have there been things when, say a parent or the child themselves comes up and talks with you and shares their feelings or something like that?
we see more of the overall problem. A lot of what we do in prevention on our end is environmental strategies. So we're looking at the communities versus the individual a lot of times. So we may hear some of those stories and we can refer them on to treatment or counselors or whatever they might need. We utilize Mvskoke Creek Nation Behavioral Health a lot. We utilize Creoks when we see those issues. But those aren't things that we as preventionists usually deal with. So we are seeing more the bigger picture. That's why we work on things like working with vendors and different community partners to try to prevent access to these substances. And as Rush was talking about the risk and protective factors, we really work on lowering those risk factors and upping their protective factors within the community. So we don't see those issues a lot. Ours truly comes out when we see the data that it's increasing or decreasing. That's usually when we get to see those results because of the work we do.
Put a smile on your face.
Yes, and with that being said, we all work with a coalition called the Okmulgee County Consortium. So those partners that do deal with kids every day and work on those issues on a one-on-one basis are part of this group. We have Creoks, the behavioral health, those kinds of people, and we all come together, and if it's not something we can deal with, we know we have community partners that we can call and vice versa.
Okay, let me ask the rest of you here, where's the human element there? The families or the kids, what do you hear from them? That's pretty much what I'm after.
Well, I think one thing that that we try to look at behavioral health is we don't always necessarily get the human element straight from the child or the youth. So what we try to do is we try to focus on individuals and community members who work with these youth, the community members who are the parents or the youth directors at the churches, or they are simply teachers, or the principal or the school counselors and those type of things. And we try to, be able to generate a discussion with them so they can truly get that human element in a youth's life who is especially going through some traumatic issues.
Anyone else?
Margaret spoke of the Okmulgee County Consortium. Our chairperson is Nancy Mason, and she's the director of youth for Mvskoke Creek Nation, and she's a wonderful advocate. Her kids are wonderful advocates for the community. They're the leaders in the community. People look up to them. They go out and they rock it. They're a great group of kids, and Nancy's a wonderful leader. And she leads our coalition and has for several years now. And that's what we do is through everybody that comes together, we empower youth and we empower the community to make an overall community change. We can, if we just went instance by instance, youth by youth or person by person, that's not that's not a good way of using our prevention money. Sure. We want to make an overall impact. We want to change policy. We want to change people's behavior. to do the right thing.
Have the four of you any ideas on how successful your efforts have been? I mean, you a lot of work and coordinate all these things. Like I saw, the Creek Cella thing, and you got musicians and food vendors and security and all kinds of stuff going on. But then you've got, the drug take-backs, and then the efforts to get alternative solutions out to these families. Is there a way you measure success, or is it just a feeling and public response?
It goes back to data, and while there is a human factor in what we do, like you keep asking, because lives are changed, but we're very data driven in what we do to make sure that we're addressing the problems. So we have what's called the Oklahoma Prevention Needs Assessment Survey, and that survey is given to 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders throughout the county and throughout the state, actually. And we can compare those numbers to state and to national numbers to see where we're at. We also get success when we have things like a city ordinance passed where vendors have to have training. Those are the kind of successes we get. Policies put in place, those kinds of things where we know people are impacted when they enter that establishment or that school because there's a policy in place that helps to protect them.
Where do you all go from here? Is there another event coming up? I know you've got this incredible list of things happening, but this coordination, I think, is something I just haven't seen, but doesn't mean it didn't happen, but I just didn't see it.
Right. Our coalition, the Multnomah County Consortium, meets monthly, and we continue to work. We are always planning and making strategic plans so that we are impacting the areas that need to be impacted. We meet the second Wednesday of the month at noon at the YMCA, and anybody's welcome to come. Community members, any kind of businesses. We love to have people come and get involved, and that helps us to see the bigger picture too. We have a lot of that quantitative number data, but people coming and getting involved helps us with that qualitative story data. So our law enforcement telling us what they actually see, our schools telling us what they see. So it's really important. The more people we have at the table, the better we can plan further into the future for things that are going on.
If someone was interested in becoming part of it and working with you or volunteering or whatever, how would they get in touch with you? Would that be through behavioral health?
It could be, and that's the good thing with all of our partners is you can call any of us, and if we don't have the answer, we can find somebody who does. So, yeah, if you give us a call at Creek Nation Behavioral Health, 918-758-1930. And then also, back to the human element, the more I think, the more things that I can remember. We also teach a Courage to Care curriculum at schools, if a school is willing. It's a 9-week curriculum, which is an empowering and anti-bullying curriculum. And that really, it's one of our prevention staff that goes out there and, facilitates 9 different lessons. So it's almost, a full semester. And you really see a lot more of, what goes on in the classroom. And then how the students are acting, and then even, at the end, even if they were wild, the entire first 8 weeks, that last week they truly are like, oh, you're not going to come back anymore? I wish you could come back. So you really do see a lot of that when you're out there on the front line.
All right. Well, thank you. We want to thank all of you for coming in and being patient with us here, and for the information you share, the work you're doing, and keep us posted. We'll keep an eye out on this and see if we can help you out in the future.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Okay, let me get a couple of community announcements out real quick in the last couple of minutes we've got. First of all, if you are a graduate or a parent of a graduate, we want you to participate in the annual graduate profile section of Mvskoke News, but the deadline, now this is a deadline, is Friday, May 11th. That's this Friday by 5 p.m. in order to be published in the 2018 graduate edition. So if you don't have a confirmed confirmation of receipt, please let our office know. Now, that's Friday, this Friday, May 11th by 5 p.m. And every year we get Some poor folks who just can't make it, and we cannot make any exceptions. It takes time to lay out the page, and we have to get it into our printer. So please want to say get it in by Friday, 5 p.m. Any questions, give us a call, 732-7720. Bikes and Balls, 10 a.m. to 11, coming up on the 11th. Bring your kids to come play at the Dome. Play with some of our bikes, balls, and other fun stuff. So it's open to the public for preschool ages 5 and under, and you must be accompanied by an adult. That's the 11th from 10 to 11:30 at the Mvskoke Dome. Okay, that's about all we've got time for this week. We want to thank our guests and everyone for helping us out, and we'll be back next week with another program, so please join us then for more Mvskoke Radio. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.